Namaste, namaste, and welcome to this short yoga practice. This week I didn't record, inadvertently made a mistake and didn't record our Zoom full-length yoga class. So this is kind of like a makeup video. It covers most of the stuff we did in our class. There's a separate video of Chandra Bhedana pranayama, which is for those who want to add that to their practice. And it doesn't include a relaxation, but I'll leave you to do that for yourself too. For this practice, we might need something to protect one knee, because one knee will be down in some of this practice. So just have something to the side, maybe a folded blanket, or in fact, I'll put it there, folded blanket or a half block like this, something just to protect any sensitive knees. And today I also recorded separately a warm-up practice. So if you aren't feeling quite warmed up, you might want to stop and do a warming up practice first, a few rounds of Kati Chakrasana, some neck, chest, and shoulder movements, that sort of thing. But when you're ready, you can join me on your mat, and we're going to start with cat-cow. So we'll bring our hands onto the mat, spreading out the fingers and taking the knees wherever is comfortable. Under the hips is usually quite good. Pressing the tops of the feet down and beginning. So trying to just get the head in the right position. So if we drop the head down, it puts the neck in a position of strain. Strain's in the upper back. So just drawing the head up to a neutral spot. And we're going to begin by lifting the pelvic floor and then drawing the belly muscles inwards and upwards. And then gently releasing. So lift the pelvic floor, draw the belly muscles inwards and upwards, as if you were sucking your navel towards your spine. Maybe not as much as you can, but quite strongly. And then release. And then one more time, lifting the pelvic floor first, then drawing the belly muscles inwards and upwards. We're going to keep those two active and then press into the feet to inhale, lifting the chest forwards, and exhale, rounding through the spine, scooping the belly maybe a little bit further in. And then keeping that contraction through the pelvic floor and the belly muscles, inhaling, opening the front of the body, and then exhaling, rounding through the spine, opening the back of the body. And using a little softness in the elbows to glide the shoulder blades down and up as we move through the upper back. And drawing the hips towards the shoulders and away from the shoulders, as the case may be. Excuse me. We'll do just one more. Breathing in and breathing out. And then finish just by sitting into a comfortable position. It could be back on your heels, it could be kneeling up, it could be sitting flat on the floor if you prefer, and just roll your wrists. So because this series, we spend quite a lot of time on the wrists themselves, on the hands, then we want to do some work for the wrists. So here you can take the fingers of the right hand and just draw them back towards the body, pressing the forearm gently away, softening the right shoulder down, just giving a little bit of openness there, and then doing the same thing on the other side. Drawing the fingers of the left hand back towards the body, softening the left shoulder down, maybe just gently pulsing in that elbow to open some space across the inner arm, inner wrist, and then just giving them a shake out. Excuse me. Most of this can be done on the forearms if you need to, and forearms propped up on blocks is a really good alternative to hands and knees as well. We're going to come back into our hands and knees position, still with the knees quite wide. And we're going to do the same motion of cat-cow, but move from the base of the spine first. So first begin by drawing the belly muscles inwards and upwards and activating the pelvic floor. And then from the base of the spine, rolling the hips forward, opening the belly, opening the chest, gliding the shoulder blades down, opening the throat. And then from the base of the spine, rounding under, tucking the pelvis under, scooping the belly in, lifting through the center back, chin to chest. From the base of the spine, rounding through the pelvis, opening the front of the body, gliding the shoulder blades down. From the base of the spine, rounding through the back of the body, chin to chest, to finish. One more time in each direction, opening from base of the spine, let the movement move from base to crown, and then like a wave in the body, rounding in the opposite direction. And then again, taking your weight off your hands here, if you'd like to, you can turn the backs of the hands towards the mat and just gently press into them a little if that feels good. If that doesn't feel good, if you've got sensitive wrists, simply roll the hands together and apart. Very good. And then we are going to come to do tiger pose. So it's just like cat pose, but over one leg rather than two. So we're placing the hands down onto the mat. We've got the knees together or towards each other is probably best. And then we're using the right leg first. So pressing into the mat, pressing the hands apart. We're going to lift the right heel up behind us as we glide the shoulder blades down, opening now the front of the body from the knee all the way to the chin, and then rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, heel to buttock, nose to knee. Inhaling, lifting the right heel behind us, pressing into the top of the left foot, gliding the shoulder blades down, scooping the belly in, rounding through the spine, nose to knee, heel to buttock. One more time, inhaling and exhaling. And then we're going to come back to neutral, just floating that knee from the mat and just make a few circles with this knee. Doesn't matter if you flex or point your toes, do whatever feels good to you, but making sure you're pressing into the fingertips and the hands as well, about 5, and then changing direction. And make your movements slow enough and steady enough that they're controlled and that you can feel a sensation in the body. Just one more in this direction. And then we're going to swap to the other side. So right knee stays down, pressing into the hands, firming the belly, inhaling the left heel up, opening the front of the body, and then rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, nose to knee, heel to buttock. Inhaling as you press the heel up, glide the shoulder blades towards each other. And then exhaling as you round through the spine, nose to knee, heel to buttock. Last one, inhaling. And exhaling. And then with a neutral breath or natural breath, come back to hover the left knee off the mat in this neutral spine, and then make 5 circles, pressing into the fingertips, pressing the hands into the mat and away from each other, firm in the center of the body, just making the hip circles as big or as small as suits you, and then changing direction. Nice and firm across the belly muscles, just doing what movement comes naturally, without force, without strain. Let's do one more in this direction. And then resting off the wrists, just giving them a little shake out. Turning the backs of the hands, pressing them into the floor, into your thighs, perhaps, if that feels a bit nicer. You might massage over the back of the wrist with your thumb, if that feels good. I've done an awful lot of weight bearing on the hands this morning, so you perhaps feel much better. Mine are beginning to feel a little bit sensitive. Excuse me, I'm still carrying a little cough from a few weeks ago. So now we've done this hip opening sequence, and we've done lots of spinal undulations. We've included the neck in those. We're going to do some more action to strengthen the posterior chain, the back of the body, and to move into some side bending and things like that. So, or side movements, I should say, and things like that. So we're going to come back onto our hands and knees. And this time I'm going to take the block and place it, my softness, and put it underneath my left knee, just for a touch of support. Maybe a bit more. There we are. Okay, so we're starting with a very active upper body, pressing the hands into the mat, nice and released in the shoulders down. I'm going to press I could tuck the toes under on the left foot, press the left foot down, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take my right foot and slide it back so that leg is as long as I feel comfortable making it. And then on the floor, bring my right toes around the body towards my hand and looking towards it as well. So I get this sort of turn of the body slightly to the right, get some length down the left side of the body. And then on the floor, take those toes around the body to the left and look towards the left. Again, getting that slight turn through the body and openness down the sides. And I'm going to do 2 more of these. And it doesn't matter where your foot gets to. It doesn't need to get all the way to your hand. It doesn't need to get very far behind you. We're going to focus on stabilizing through our center and through the upper body with the arms as well. If you wish to, you can do 3 with the leg coming up and over in these big arcs, which we call rainbows. But if not, you can do 3 more with the foot on the floor, nice and firm in the belly, pressing the hands into the floor and away from each other, which is really nice. The next time your your foot goes behind you to the left, you can spin on your right knee. No, you can spin on your left knee. Leave the left hand down and just press into that left side of the body. Take the right foot to the floor and reach your right arm up. And if you like, you can reach it over. If you like, you can turn your chest towards the ceiling, a little baby wild thing. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then gently come back the way you went in. Hand to the mat, swing around on the knee and bring the 2 knees in. And here, we're going to take a moment in child's pose. So taking the knees apart and toes towards each other, forehead to the floor. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. If you prefer a different version of child's pose, or if you prefer to lie flat on your belly, go for that. And then when you're ready, you can come back up onto your hands and knees. I'm going to put that block back underneath my left knee. And I'm going to straighten my right leg again. And this time, as I bring my right foot forward, I'm going to let it plant wherever it gets to and do a little gentle swaying of the hips forwards and backwards. Oh, I found a creaky floorboard. Let's see if I can avoid that a little bit. Super stuff. So just bringing the hips backwards and forwards. I'm up on my fingertips to give my wrists a rest, but you could equally be on blocks or on your fists. And we're just allowing whatever movement comes naturally. So we're not forcing or pushing or stretching. It's just movement, lubricating the joint. You might draw your toes back towards you as your hips come back, if that feels good. You might not. Very good. And then from here, we're going to leave the left hand on the floor, straighten the left leg, and just look to the right. And here we might be able to step our left foot through to sit down. So that's the transition. I'm going to do it 1 more time so that you can see. So we're in our sort of diagonal lunge position. Got the left hand out to the left side, creating maybe a little bit more space between the foot and the hand than we normally have. We can lengthen that back leg so that we get a little bit of space underneath the body. You don't have to turn to the right, but you can if you like. I prefer not to be super turned, but it's good to have a little twist before you go, and then just lightly step the left foot through. Taking the hips to the floor, we can cross the right leg over the left so that we sit nice and tall, wrap the left arm around the right leg. We can come into a spinal twist, reaching up with the right hand, reaching behind the body, pressing into that backhand so you're tall and lifted, scooping the belly in to find space to move the shoulders round, and then just turning the head to wherever you get to and breathing. Deep breaths in these seated spinal twists are a bit of a challenge because of the shape of the body. But if we breathe deeply here, we really tone the muscles strengthen the muscles of the intercostals, between the ribs and the rib cage, and the diaphragm, which improves our breathing technique in general. To release out, turn to the front with your head, then release the arms and unwind the spine, turn a little to the opposite side and back to the center. And then from here, we're going to uncross the legs, and then we're going to take the left hand to the floor behind us, press into the right foot, and just turn ourselves around into a little downward facing dog. And in our downward dog, give a little bit of a wriggle. Maybe a gentle press of the chest towards the thighs, the heels alternately to the floor, nice and soft through the upper body. And when you're ready, you can find the mat with your knees. Take your support, if you are using it, place it under the right knee, and then we will do the practice of swinging the legs with the left knee. So here we're going to lengthen the left leg around behind us, firm in the belly, firm in the pelvic floor, and pressing the hands into the mat and away from each other. And then with the toe on the floor, bring the left foot towards the left hand, and then take the left foot behind the body towards the right, looking in that direction. And follow the movement of the foot with the head if it feels comfortable. So you get that movement down the sides of the body, slightly accentuated by the movement of the neck. We're aiming to do 3 of these. And then you've got options. You can do another 3 like that, or you can press into the hands, lift the left leg up and over in a big arcing circle, or slight circle, and then up and back. Very good. Reaching up and over. Lovely job. Up and back. How many of these have we done? Let's do one more. I can't remember. Super. As we take the left foot behind the body this time, you can spin on your right foot, the right knee, leave your right hand down, take the left foot to the floor and reach the left arm up into the air. Now here, this is a beautiful position. If you want to accentuate it, you can reach that left arm over the head or turn the chest up towards the ceiling, really feeling the support of the parts of the body on the floor underneath you. And then to come out, we go back the way we came. So left hand to the floor, spin on the right knee. And then from here, we're going to take downward facing dog, aren't we? No, we're going to take a child's pose, sorry. Please excuse me. So both knees on the mat, knees nice and wide, hips to heels, reaching the hands forward, turning the palms upwards if it feels comfortable. Or you might prefer to make a pillow out of the arms and rest your head on the backs of the hands if it doesn't naturally meet the floor. Take a few deeper breaths. And when you're ready, you can gently pad your hands back towards you, coming into an upright position. Maybe release your wrists if you'd like to. Absolutely. And then we're going to re-establish that support under the right knee. Come back into our hands and knees position. Lengthen the left foot back. And as we draw that left foot forward this time, we're going to let the foot find the floor as if we were standing on it, and then move ourselves into this diagonal lunging position. So we're just still quite strong through the legs and the center of the body, up on the fingertips or onto the fists, or using blocks if you prefer. We're just finding what movement comes naturally. So we're not forcing, we're not overstretching. We're not really holding any of the positions. We're just exploring our range of movement. Your front leg can stay bent if it doesn't like to straighten, that's okay. no problem at all. When you've done a little bit of this, then we're going to bring our hips forward, leave the right hand down on the floor, and just turn to the left slightly, opening the chest, maybe lengthening that back leg, just to feel a little twist through the upper body. And then we're going to lightly step the right foot forward. So we want to create a little bit of lift and space, just lightly stepping the right foot through. And if you want to practice this, you can, of course, do that. Come back to the lunge. You've got the left foot is wider than the mat. The right hand is all the way out to the right. Lots of space between the hand and the foot. And then just lightly stepping the right leg through. We're going to cross the left foot over the right so that we can sit tall for our seated spinal twists. And then wrap the right arm around the left thigh, drawing it towards you, lifting the belly muscles, scooping in to create length, reaching up with the left arm, placing the left hand down behind you, just lightly tipping yourself forward, rolling the shoulders back and down, moving into the twist to wherever feels good for you, and then releasing the effort of getting there and simply breathing. Here you might choose to close your eyes for a few moments and internalize that experience. To release out, I'm going to turn to the front with just the head. Release the hands, unwind the spine, turn to the opposite side, back to the center. And then we're going to uncross our legs and twist back round to the first direction. So we're taking the right hand behind us, press into the left foot, pivot on the feet as you turn into downward facing dog, and give yourself a little wriggle in your downward dog. And then in downward dog, I'm just going to bring myself a little bit more forward. I'm going to do a waving vinyasa. So waving vinyasa is the first one we'll do from the knees. We'll take the knees to the mat and take the hips towards the heels. And then press off the toes, rounding through the spine, scoop the belly in. As the shoulders come forward over the hands, glide the shoulder blades down the back to open your chest, firm your buttocks, and open the space underneath the chin. And then round through the spine, tucking chin to chest and taking buttocks to heels. Let's do one more like this, in fact. Rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, rounding through the upper back until the shoulders come over the hands, then gliding the shoulder blades down the back to open the chest, firming the belly, and then rounding to come back the way. So if you like that variation, stick with it. If you want to do the variation from down dog, coming up to downward facing dog, and then softening the knees to drop the buttocks towards the heels, but the knees are off the floor. Press through the balls of the feet to round through the spine, bringing the chest forward over the hands, and then gliding the shoulder blades down, finding up dog on the tips of the toes and the hands, palms of the hands, and then rounding through your spine to come back to downward facing dog. From down dog, bending the knees, drop the hips to the heels. One more waving vinyasa. Press off the toes to round forward, the body moving like a wave, gliding the shoulder blades down to open your chest. Nice and firm in the belly, soft in the elbows, and then rounding through your spine to find downward dog again. And then from here, we're going to take the knees down for a child's pose. And you might like a knees together variation of child's pose, or a knees apart, or lying flat on your belly. Any of these are good. Taking a few deeper breaths. Softening the effort from the belly muscles, the shoulders, the face, the hands. When you're ready, you can come up to an upright position. Whew, fantastic stuff. So now we're going to, our previous lunge was a bit more diagonal. Now we're going to come from down dog into more traditional lunge. And we're still going to do the same transition as we go from one side to the other. So I'm going to put this, do I need this in place? I need to have a think about this. I don't need this in place, so I'm going to leave that to one side. Very good. Okay, if you do want to put your back knee down, you might want to have your support ready for that. Just give your wrists a little roll, smashing stuff, and then coming into downward facing dog. So lengthening through the backs of the legs, chest towards thighs, just giving your body a little bit of a paddle, paddling the heels one at a time, maybe looking underneath the arms, one and then the other. Lifting the tailbone is the most important thing here, not how straight your legs are or how close to the floor your heels get. When you're ready, you can bring your feet towards each other. And we want to get our best down dog shape possible. So scooping the belly in, lifting in the tailbone, chest towards thighs, fingertips down. And then we're going to leave our left heel towards the floor, point the right toes back and lift the right leg up and lower gently down. So nice and firm in the belly as you lift and lower. One more time, lift and lower. This time, as we lift that leg, we're going to come onto the ball of the left foot and then step the right foot forward just outside the right hand and let the hips come forward as well. And then here, we've got our left arm down and we're just gently going to turn to the right. So we're a bit more square than we were before. And here we're going to do a little, not a little, it's quite involved. We're going to press the left leg back, firm the buttocks, really use the legs nice and strongly. Lift the right arm up to the right. See if you can get that hand behind the body, really using the back of the shoulder to draw that arm around. And then from there, take your elbow and see if you can place the elbow towards the floor. Now you might get somewhere around the mid shin, or you might get to the ankle, or you might get to the floor. It doesn't matter which. And then unwinding again into this beautiful open twist. And then taking your elbow and trying to get it to the inside of the ankle on the floor. Reaching up and open, really engaging the back of that shoulder and the upper back, and then taking that elbow to the floor. And then when you're ready, coming into a more neutral lunge position, the left hand is out to the left, we soften the knees, get a bit of buoyancy across the legs, and lightly step the left leg forward. Super. And then this time, we did a spinal twist last time. So this time we're going to do something slightly different. We're just going to let that right knee fall out to the right and then sit really tall. Open the chest. Take the arms down to somewhere either side of your front leg and just give your chest a little shimmer. So you want to try and keep as much length in the back as possible. And then if you have a little bit more room to fold forward into, you can. Try not to round through the upper back to take your chin or your forehead down. Try to keep long through the spine, lifting in the belly. And just experiencing, this is Janu Shirshasana. For those who easily reach the toes, you can take the first two fingers of your left hand in between the first two toes, rest your thumb on top, and gently use a little bit of effort to draw your body long and forward, as the case may be. And then when you're ready, you can release out. Very nice. And we're going to again do that transition. So right foot comes to the floor, left hand behind the body. You can just pivot on your toes to turn into your downward facing dog and give yourself a little bit of a wiggle in your down dog. And then we can take a waving vinyasa here. So soften the knees, dropping the buttocks towards the heels, press into the toes, round through the spine, scoop the belly in, let the hips come forward, let the shoulders come forward, open the chest, slide the shoulder blades down. And then from here, round through the spine, come back into downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, take your feet together And then best possible dog. So right heel towards the floor, chest towards the thighs, tip the tailbone up, firm in the fingers, lift the left leg up and lower down, nice and firm across the belly, lifting the left leg up and lowering down. We're not trying to get it to any particular height. We're just trying to engage the back of the body as we lift and control as we lower. This time, we're going to lift the left leg up, come onto the ball of the right foot, and then bend the left knee inside the left hand into our more upright lunge. And then from here, we're going to slightly twist to the left. So we're using the left hand on the left thigh, just easing the upper body round. We're going to try that reach open, elbow to floor action. So we're reaching the left arm up, we're drawing shoulder blades towards each other, engaging through the upper back to get that beautiful twist, legs really strong, belly lifted. And then taking that left elbow, wherever it goes, it might be middle of the shin, it might be ankle, it might be the floor, doesn't matter. And then breathing in to open, really engaging across that upper back area. And then taking the elbow to wherever feels good. Maybe it's the inside of the ankle. Maybe it's further towards the floor this time. Opening the chest one last time. And then rounding, not rounding, drawing the elbow down, the forearm down towards the floor. And then from here, just get a little buoyancy across the legs so that we can lightly step the right foot through. Just going to center myself on the screen a little bit more and let that left knee come out to the left side. So we're sitting in Janu Shirshasana. We're lifting the chest, lifting the front of the body open, and then hands come somewhere just in front of that bent knee. So we can still keep the chest open as if we were doing like a cobra pose with our upper body, scooping the belly in, maybe gently swaying from side to side with the chest. And then maybe playing with how far forward feels like the right amount. So here we want to have that sense of length through the body. We don't want to round if we can avoid it. So it's important to only come as far forward as that sense of length allows. But if you are able to reach the toes easily with your first two fingers of the right hand through between the first two toes, thumb resting on top, and you might scoop the belly in, lift the chest, and just see if you can draw yourself a little longer and deeper. So right out of the hips, lengthening towards the crown of the head. Taking a couple of deeper breaths. And when you're ready, you can release back up and also bring your left knee with you. And we'll do our transition for the last time, this twisting one. I'm going to take the right hand behind us, just roll onto the hands and feet so you find your downward facing dog. Make any movements in dog that feel good to you. And perhaps here, taking the feet nice and far apart, coming up onto the tiptoes, dropping the heels to the left, and just doing a little bend and stretch, about 3 bend and stretch movements. Here we've got the neck is nice and relaxed. The shoulders are very strong. Coming back onto the tiptoes in the center, feet nice and wide, heels down to the right, and then that bend and stretch. My teacher calls this squatting dog. Squatting dog. I love it. Really nice for the sides of the body. Coming back to the center, just making any movements that feel good. And when you're ready, I would recommend resting onto your belly flat. So a forehead on the back of the palms of the hands, or the backs of the hands rather, toes towards each other, heels apart, a gentle sway of the hips from side to side, or a wriggle, perhaps to let go of tension there. And when you're ready to find a little moment of stillness, coming back to center, because here we've got the front of the body supported by the floor. And when the front of the body is supported by the floor, it can really let go of tension that we carry across the hip flexors, quadriceps, the fronts of the thighs, the belly, the chest, that space underneath the rib cage, as well as the part of the body in the center of the forehead. We call it the third eye in yoga, the space between the eyebrows. Just a few deeper breaths. If you would like to do something here, you can bend both knees. Take your knees quite far apart and leave your feet over your knees, and then circle the feet, either in opposite directions or in the same direction, doesn't matter. As you do that, you'll feel the weight of the legs just rolling over the quadriceps. Particularly, I feel it particularly around my knees. You can go in the opposite direction as well, but you also feel it across the body of the thighs, the pelvis, the low abdomen. It's a really, really lovely fascial release, like a self-massage. And then whenever you're ready, relaxing the feet back down, lengthening the legs, maybe giving your hips a shiggle or a shimmer. Rest here for as long as feels comfortable, or as long as you like, really. And then when you're ready, you can come to any upright position. I would love to lie there for about 10 more minutes, but things must move on. So I hope you've enjoyed this short practice. I'm really sorry to all my Monday mat yogis who missed out on a full length practice based around these movements. But hopefully together with the warm-up practice, this and the pranayama practice, you now have a full practice to do if you choose. And please feel free to leave any comments, and I will see you for another practice soon. Namaste.